Hello everybody, this is Gregory with How I Lost Over 100 Pounds and I've kept it off for 30 plus years, where there should be no hesitance in your weight loss and maintenance. Today I'm going to give some tips on how to essentially not eat your kids' junk food. Now before we begin, if you need help with weight loss, contact me through the Clarity FM link found here in the episode notes. Also check out my website, Naturopathic Earth, otherwise known as 100 Pounds Off for 30 plus years, where there's tons of recipes and articles. Check out my books. Check out my podcast, The Awakened Man, and if you appreciate my content, there is a link for PayPal. All right, so I do have an episode that is concomitant to this, or it could be related to it. This is my kombucha bottle I use for water because I don't drink out of plastics. My fluoride-free water. I do have a concomitant episode about 7 ways to reduce stress eating. I'll try to put a banner in the notes for it because it's similarly related. Now, if you're trying to lose weight or keep it off, having junk food in the house is perilous. Ideally, we want to get rid of it. I have a 3-part series about things to keep and things to toss, where part 1 was the pantry, part 2 was the fridge, part 3 was the house. So ideally, you want to get crap out of the food and you want crap out of your house. Now today, with the ease of Uber Eats and Grubhub and delivery food and all this, it does make it easy to succumb to the food porn that you see on television and buy this stuff. But as a whole, it's better to have this stuff out of your house. Now, if you have children, in particular, let's say teenagers, and you haven't really done maybe the best job of keeping junk food out of the house, it can be problematic because you have Cheetos and Pop-Tarts and sodas or whatever it is in your house for your kids. And if you didn't have that food or you didn't have the kids, it'd be much easier to kind of regulate what you have in the house. So what can you do about this? Well, I think the number one thing and the easiest thing is just don't have this food in the house. And we know that food dyes, for example, are connected to hyperactivity in children. So the petroleum-based food dyes, so like Red 40, Blue 6, the caramel color, the ones that they put in pretty much every middle aisle food, has chemicals in it, the food dyes, that are connected to bladder cancer in adults and hyperactivity in children. So probably wouldn't hurt to get rid of all the foods that have food dyes. We talk about that in that 3-part series I talked about. So getting rid of the junk food is good for your entire family and good for the home in general. Now, some of you might find that difficult to do because maybe you haven't been as good, and like I fall for this too, and the weekends I have my children, of training them to eat well their whole life. So I can have a pretty eat clean, #eat clean kitchen. The weekends I have the kids, though, I'll get ice cream and some other things because the kids like it. So it's certainly easier not to have this food in the house if you're prone to overeating. Now, luckily, I've kind of purged that binge eating thing that I used to talk about in my personal series, Confessions of an Obese Shot and Reflections of a Weight Loss Warrior. But if you have not done that, it is perilous to have this food. So number 1 step is just don't have this food in the house. Now, it's going to be hard because the kids are like, where are my Cheetos? Where are my Pop-Tarts? And it's going to be a hard transition to tell the kids, now we're not going to do this. It reminds me of the Judd Apatow movie, This Is 40, where Paul Rudd and Leslie Mann tell their 2 daughters, we're gonna unplug the router and you're not going to have any access to the internet. You just go outside and play with sticks. And the kids are like, sticks? Who plays with sticks? That's what we did. It's the same thing. So if your kids are younger, you can incorporate and implement these kind of eat clean principles early on and just not have all this junk food around, because then they really don't know what they're missing, especially if they don't come from a blended family. So that's what I would do. But if you can't do that, just remember, we model the behavior of our children. For example, I was at the playground with my 5-year-old and there was a very obese man there watching his 5-year-old daughter. And the hour we were there, he was on his phone 99% of the time playing, I don't know, what's that game where Pikachu wanders around? I don't know what he was on doing. He was drooling. And during that time, the only time he got up was to move to a bench close to where she was when she was running around. And then he got 2 Powerades. I'm like, this is case in point. A, don't drink your calories. B, be cognizant that you're already morbidly overweight and drinking your calories is a colossal mistake. And C, remember, you're modeling behavior to your child. So he was giving the Powerade, one of them, to his 5-year-old daughter. Don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. I talk about my anger, and I think it's Confessions of an Obese Shot, about when I used to go to all-you-can-eat buffets like Golden Corral and just seeing these overweight adults with their very fat kids, and it just breaks my heart because those kids didn't know any better. They deserve better than that. But they modeled the behavior of their parents. So in this case, is it surprising that this girl that my daughter was playing with was a little overweight? No. Because look, her father was overweight. And the studies are pretty clear. If the mother is overweight, your child is disproportionately a higher rate of getting overweight. Not as much as if the father is, but still, it is a higher rate. So going back to it, modeling good behavior. If your kids are never seeing you drink alcohol, they're less likely to drink alcohol. If your kids are never seeing you smoke or vape, they're less likely growing up to smoke and vape, especially if you tell them about the evils of them. It's kind of the same thing with junk food. If they don't really seeing you indulging in Cheetos and garbage, they're less likely to do it. Now, there's other factors, of course. If they go to a public school, they're going to see all their friends eating junk food, and if you're taking them in McDevils at a very young age to go to the playground at McDevils, again, they're already kind of predisposed to the junk food, and you have more of an uphill battle. So in closing, what can you do about not eating your kids' junk food? A, don't have it in there. But B, go to that episode, the 7 ways to avoid stress eating, because you're really going to have to use those concepts and principles, because you're going to have this beep, beep tractor beam in the house. Just you're thinking about it, you're thinking about it, you're thinking about it. And it's just so much easier not to have it in your house. But if you feel like you can't get out of the house because your kids are going to revolt, then you really got to focus on the principles of not stress eating, thinking long term, going and exercising, drinking a lot of water, and so forth, the things that we talk about there. Guys, post in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. How do you handle having junk food in your house when your kids are around, or even your sibling or your spouse? Hit the notification, subscribe, and share button. Until next time, take care. God bless and pray.